Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC Vegas 59, and in the main event, we have a light heavyweight matchup, Thiago Santos versus Jamahal Hill, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction. I don't really know if I love this as a main event. Thiago Santos' last few fights, particularly in main events of fight nights, haven't been particularly exciting, but at the same time, I'm really excited for this fight because you have Thiago Santos, who's dropped quite a few of his last 5 fights. And you have a guy that was fighting for a title at one point in time, and a lot of people thought he defeated Jon Jones and took the belt from him. Unfortunately, he didn't get the decision there. And he's kind of fighting for relevancy within the light heavyweight division. And then you have Jamahal Hill, who a lot of people are very high on, myself included, but he hasn't really had a tough test yet in the division, and this is his steepest test yet. And if he can go out there and get a win over Thiago Santos, even though, I believe Santos has diminished the past few years, I still think it's a big win, and we'll have a super accurate assessment of where Jamahal Hill's skills are, because right now he just looks really good, but hasn't fought the greatest of competition, and now we'll really be able to get a gauge of where he's at against Thiago Santos. And Santos, this is a must-win. I mean, he's only on a 1-fight losing streak, but he's dropped quite a few fights. He's only won like 1 out of his last 5 fights. He absolutely needs this win. Otherwise, he's basically going to be regulated to gatekeeper at this point in the light heavyweight division. So if you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, Thiago Santos is ranked number 6. Jamahal Hill is ranked number 10. Santos is 38. Jamahal Hill is 31. Santos is 6'2". Hill is 6'4". Santos has a 76-inch reach, and Hill has a 79-inch reach. So a 3-inch reach advantage, a 2-inch height advantage, and a 7-year youth advantage for Jamahal Hill. You look at Jamahal Hill, he only has 12 pro MMA fights. He's 10-1-1. His one no contest is a fight that he won via TKO, but then it was overturned because I believe he had tested positive for marijuana metabolites. So I still count that as a win. His one loss, which we'll talk about in a second, he got finished by Paul Craig. We'll talk about that in a second. But he comes into this fight on a 2-fight win streak, and both of those are via first round KO. You look at his 10 wins, he has 6 wins by knockout and 4 by decision. His last fight was in February this year against Johnny Walker, and exactly what I expected to happen in this fight happened. I know at one point in time, Johnny Walker was hyped up as the next guy to beat Jon Jones, and he was going to dethrone Jones and take his title. At the time Jamahal Hill fought him earlier this year, that was not the level of hype for Johnny Walker anymore. He had lost quite a few times, and I expected Jamahal Hill to go in there and take care of business against Johnny Walker and KO him. I just thought he was a better striker and had nasty power, and that's exactly what happened. Jamahal Hill clipped him with a big punch, hurt Johnny Walker badly, put him out on his feet essentially, and Johnny Walker fell back. It was one of the most brutal KOs I've seen this year, and then Jamahal Hill followed him to the ground with some brutal ground and pound shots and finished him off. The fight before that was against Jimmy Crute in December of last year, and I actually picked Jimmy Crute in this fight. I thought the grappling skills and the submission skills of Jimmy Crute would win him this fight. Couldn't have been more wrong. Jamahal Hill went out there, outstruck him, hurt him badly early. Jimmy Crute was able to recover, get to the clinch, but then Jamahal Hill disengaged, landed a nasty check hook, dropped Jimmy Crute again, and the referee stepped in. So a great 2-win streak for Jamahal Hill, but now he's getting this massive step up in competition in Thiago Santos. The fight before Jimmy Crute was against Paul Craig. That was at UFC 263 last year, June of last year, and I thought this was going to be a fight that would change Jamahal Hill's career, because in this fight, Paul Craig pulled guard, eventually got like an armbar that he turned into a triangle, and at some point in time, it looked like Jamahal Hill's arm had broken. From what I understand, it ended up being a dislocated elbow, but his arm looked broken in the triangle choke, and the ref wasn't stopping it. His arm wasn't able to defend himself, and Paul Craig realized the ref wasn't stopping it and just started brutally ground and pounding him as he was basically defenseless in the triangle of Paul Craig. And eventually, finally, the ref stepped in. But when this ground and pound was going on, I guess you call it ground and pound, but it was from the bottom. And, I just really saw the arm flailing around, and I said, you know what? This is going to be a career-altering injury for Jamahal Hill. And it really wasn't, because he returned 6 months later. Apparently, it didn't look like it has affected him in the last 2 fights. So I really went from thinking, okay, Jamahal Hill is young, and now, his arm is never going to be the same again after watching that fight. It was a terrible stoppage. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. to, okay, now he's on a 2-fight win streak and finished both guys in the first round. And I believe had, Paul Craig not got him down, which is a big if, because Paul Craig will just, pull you to the ground. And then the overhook of Paul Craig where he gets a hold of your arm. I mean, the guy is just elite at doing that and elite at pulling off submissions. I mean, he's done it to plenty of guys. But outside of that, if it would have stayed on the feet, I am very confident that Jamahal Hill would have finished Paul Craig on the feet. But again, he wasn't able to stay on the feet. So you look at Thiago Santos, he has 32 pro MMA fights, 22 wins, 10 losses. Of his 22 wins, 15 by knockout, 1 by submission, and 6 by decision. He's been in the UFC since 2013. So Thiago Santos has been in the UFC forever. In his last 5 fights, he's only won 1 fight. So a bit of a slide for Thiago Santos. He's coming off a loss against Magomed Ankalaev. That was a relatively boring fight. That was in March of this year. And Magomed Ankalaev was just better everywhere in this fight. He used some grappling. He was outstriking him. Santos hurt him, I believe, in the second round of this fight. But outside of that, there was really nothing for Thiago Santos in this fight. He just got dominated, and it wasn't a particular, active performance from Magomed Ankalaev. It was kind of a boring fight where Ankalaev just outpointed him. The fight before that, he defeated Johnny Walker, so there's an opponent in common with Jamahal Hill. That was in October of last year. This was another boring fight. This was another main event. And Johnny Walker just fainted all night, and Thiago Santos just landed the better strikes, but it wasn't a super impressive performance by Thiago Santos, and he got the decision. The fight before that, he lost to Alexander Rakic at UFC 259. This wasn't an impressive performance by either guy. I mean, neither guy had a lot of output in this fight, and honestly, this fight could have went either way because that's how boring it was. It was very hard to judge the rounds. I scored it for Rakic. I don't remember exactly which rounds I scored for him, but this was a boring fight. So literally the last 3 fights of Thiago Santos have been terrible. The fight before that was against Glover Teixeira. We're getting back all the way in November of 2020. In this fight, he almost stopped Glover Teixeira. And had he won this fight, he would have most likely fought for the title next against Jan Blachowicz, who he has a win over in the past. But he wasn't able to. He gassed himself out, kind of looking for a finish. And Glover Teixeira's grappling was just too much, and he eventually gets submitted via rear naked choke in the 3rd round by Glover Teixeira. Not a terrible loss to have. Glover Teixeira goes on to become champion, almost defended his title against Yuri Prochazka before he got rear naked choked at the last 30 seconds of that fight. The fight before that was against John Jones at UFC 239. This is in July of 2019. And this is the fight that changed it all, because there's something I like to call the John Jones curse. And this hasn't just happened to Thiago Santos. You can look at Gustafsson and others. You fight John Jones, no matter how the performance goes, it just seems like your career is forever altered. And in this fight, he was very competitive. He was chopping the legs of John Jones. He was being super explosive, landing some good shots. And a lot of people thought that Thiago Santos should have left UFC 239 with the light heavyweight title. Unfortunately, he didn't, but he did leave with 2 blown out knees. And I believe this is a massive factor in the performances of Thiago Santos since then, because he just hasn't been as explosive. Santos, one of his biggest weapons was his explosiveness and his power. And now that his knees, have had reconstructive surgery on both knees, he's just never been the same since that fight. And, he's only won 1 fight since. That's absolutely insanity. How good he looked against John Jones. A lot of people thought he was going to become champion. A lot of people thought he was robbed that night. And now, he's on this terrible streak where he's only won 1 out of his last 5. Before that, he had a TKO win over Jan Blachowicz. And he just went on a very good streak at light heavyweight. He used to fight at middleweight. He moved up to light heavyweight, won 4 fights, 3 of them by stoppage, and that's how he got the title shot. But then after that loss to John Jones, it's just been all downhill from there. When I look at this fight and I look at paths to victory for both guys, I really think either guy can win by KO or decision. I could really see either guy winning both of those ways, but I think this fight almost definitely ends in a KO or TKO. I have a hard time believing that this is going to go to a decision. Jamahal Hill has very good striking, nasty power. Thiago Santos has very good striking and nasty power as well, just not as explosive as he once was. Used to make up for some, Thiago Santos kind of likes to counter, and then when he explodes, he's kind of like Yoel Romero a little bit. He'll wait, and then he'll just explode with these crazy explosive combinations where he's looking to take your head off, but it just hasn't been the same in the last few years. And so my official prediction for this fight, I'm going to go Jamahal Hill via second round KO. I just think Jamahal Hill, he has the reach advantage. He has the height advantage. He has the youth advantage. I think he has the speed advantage. And I just think he's going to pick his shots in this fight. I think Thiago Santos, because of the knee injuries, because of, the losing streak, I think he's got a lot of pressure on him. And I think ever since he's lost that John Jones fight, he's just been gun shy. I thought about picking Santos in this fight because Santos does still have brutal power. Santos is pretty defensively responsible when he's not spamming combinations, when he's blitzing forward. But the age, the reach disadvantage, the height disadvantage, the explosiveness that he's lost over the past few years, it was just hard for me to pick him in this fight. And Jamahal Hill, I get it. This is his biggest step up in competition. But I just think he's taller, he's longer, he's going to be pumping the jab out there. And I think eventually he's going to clip Thiago Santos with a big punch. And I think eventually, just the laws of statistics, Thiago Santos has been fighting tough guys, and he's just been losing by decision outside of that one submission to Glover Teixeira. I think eventually he's going to get clipped and put down. He got hurt a couple times in the Magomed Ankalaev fight. And I think Jamahal Hill is one of those guys. The physique can be deceiving because he's kind of a skinny, slender guy, but he still has nasty power in his hands, and his hands are very fast. And he picks his shots very well. I don't think he's going to go into this fight and be super sloppy. The one thing I'm going to keep an eye on is I really think Thiago Santos is going to come out and try to chop the lead leg of Jamahal Hill because he's very heavy on that lead leg. And we've seen, in his last few fights, in the Johnny Walker fight even, and the OSP fight, which I didn't talk about very much, he was getting his legs chopped. He's very heavy on that lead leg. And if Santos can take that lead leg away from Jamahal Hill, maybe then Santos can kind of even the playing field and land some shots of his own. But Thiago Santos is not a guy that's super technical and throwing really good combinations. Actually, both these guys are kind of similar. I just think Jamahal Hill's a little bit more technical, and I just think he has better shot selection. And I think on top of that, just all the advantages are in Jamahal Hill's favor. I don't see how Thiago Santos gets this done unless Jamahal Hill overextends, gets too sloppy, and gets clipped by Thiago Santos, because Santos does still have that power. But outside of that, I think Jamahal Hill, he knows this is a big step up in competition. He knows this is a big opportunity. He knows a win over Thiago Santos can propel him, towards the top of the division, even though Santos is a diminished version of himself. So I think he's going to come in, he's going to fight super smart. He's going to use his footwork. He's going to, use his kicks, use his punches, use everything he has. And I think in this fight, he's going to pick his shots, eventually find the timing of Thiago Santos and put him down with a nasty, right hand, and then follow him to the ground and finish him off with ground and pound. And I really don't see Santos looking for a takedown. And Jamahal Hill is definitely not looking for a takedown. Both of these guys are going to want to strike, and it's just going to be a matter of who lands the biggest shot first, because both guys can put the other guy out. So I'm going Jamahal Hill, second round TKO. I just think he gets the timing for Thiago Santos. The first round is going to be like a feeling out process until eventually Jamahal Hill gets the timing. As Thiago Santos kind of tries to blitz in, I think he's going to get clipped with a big shot from Jamahal Hill and put down and finished off with ground and pound. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.